Hi, welcome back to eLab Education. I'm Mark, one of the physiotherapists at Exercise Science. We've got Trent with us, one of our expert trainers today. We're going to talk about foot structure, why it's important, how it's affecting your body, how it's affecting your posture, and how it's affecting your training. So we're going to keep this relatively simple because the foot's a relatively complex being. And so we're going to talk about the two major things that can happen at the foot without going into too many variations. And I'll show with Trent how those things can affect your body, and also what we need to do to rectify some of those things as well, okay, including maybe professional help as well. So the foot in itself should sit in a nice neutral position, like so. We should have an arch which comes along here, okay, and when the foot lands and comes down onto the ground when we're walking or standing, there should be an element of movement in this direction, which is known as pronation. Now, pronation has a really bad name. We're seeing shoe stores that there's anti-pronation shoes, and therefore I think that pronation has a bad name, but it's a really important part of the foot structure and what the foot should be able to do. The opposite to pronation is supination, when the foot's put in this position through here. We'll often call this, if it's structurally strong and someone stands in this position through here, a pes cavus. Pes meaning foot, cavus meaning high arch of the foot, and the opposite, being a pronated foot, which goes down here, is known as pes planus, okay, or a flattening of the foot. Okay, so optimally we want something in between those two things, but we also want some options through the foot as well. So we want somewhere between pronation and supination, but you definitely want options through the foot. So staring at a foot in general, you'll often see a lot of people with a flat foot, or you'll see people with a high arch foot. The problem with overpronation is that when you overpronate, you can see what it does to Trent's leg. It takes the leg into internal rotation. Now that affects the whole chain, and why we're so concerned about this is that when you take your leg into this position, it drags the hip forwards. When the hip comes forwards, it's very, very difficult to access your glutes now. So no matter how strong you are, you might not be able to activate. And we see this really commonly in people who are suffering ITB friction syndrome, for example, okay, or meniscal injuries of the knee, okay. So a lot of the time, or patellofemoral syndrome is one of the classic ones. So that knee pain that comes at the front, and often you see it with women especially, and there's a grinding and clicking. It's like sand is being put under the kneecap, and that's often caused by something happening at the foot, and therefore a lack of activation through the glutes. And so it doesn't leave you with many options to train through here. So really, really important to be able to find that neutral position of the foot through here. So to do that, there's, in terms of a pronating foot, we'll be giving you intrinsic muscle exercises through here to try and hold that arch up, as well as upper chain exercises. So my most important exercises for this would be training the lower core and training the external rotators in the glutes, as well as training the intrinsic muscles of the foot, okay? We'll talk to you about those in other videos on how to do that. The pes cavus foot, which comes out through here and holds up through here, is a hard thing to try and treat in terms of, or hard thing to try and get into the right position. It's generally a structurally strong arch of the foot. This is where myofascial release comes in. So generally speaking, what we'd be looking for is the tightness in certain muscles. A lot of the time you get a lot of tightness through the tibialis posterior, intrinsic muscles of the foot, and some of the peroneals on the outside of the foot. So, and you'll often see, because of the fact that people are weight bearing on the outside part of the foot, again, they're loading the lateral knee, they're loading their TFL, and so it changes the whole nature of how they can activate through what we call your chain up. So with that, you'd be doing ball release work under here. So hard ball release work, again, go back to the myofascial videos and have a look at those. We'll have more information about that. And really releasing through the calf and then adding some specific stretches to that. And what that'll give you is that'll give you more of a motion through the foot where you can absorb suspension. Remembering that when you're coming down, some of the forces are huge when you're coming down your leg, to the point where if you were running, you can run with 4 times your body weight force every time you hit the ground, which is a lot of force. A good foot will absorb a lot of that force, and if you don't have that got to be taken further up the chain. Again, that's why we see knee problems and hip problems and back problems through here. Don't underestimate the influence of the foot all the way up the chain to the neck, headaches and so forth as well. And I guess the final point on this as well is a really badly collapsing foot might need to be addressed with some sort of insert or orthotic by your physiotherapist or podiatrist, but it should be done by someone who's involved with athletes in sport to make sure that you get the right one and to make sure that everything's right. So have a look at your feet. If you're getting pain in your knees and your hips or your back or even your neck, it might be coming from there. If you're concerned about it, contact your local person. If you're in the ELAB vicinity, if there's an ELAB around you, make sure you come in and have a talk to us.